So there was a book written in, I think, 1929, sometime in the 20s, and it's called How to Analyze People on Sight. It is in the public domain, so you can find it with like Liverbox recordings or whatever else. But it's a really interesting book, and its basic concept is that there are 5 body types, and that these different body types give you a certain inclination towards different things in general. It basically dictates what you desire or what your body desires, right? And it says a lot about personality. It says a lot about what you should kind of gear your attention towards, at least to a certain degree, right? And then you can understand why other people that you know might not necessarily see things the way that you do or aspire to the same type of things, right? We're different. But understanding these differences is crucial. Okay, so number 1, you have the gastric body type. Now this would be the fat man, right? As they refer to in the book. And not maniacally or anything else like that. It's just what it is. The people who are more inclined to desire comfort and to eat delicious foods and to be rather jovial, right? They don't worry about their problems as much. That's why you see so many happy fat people. Just in general, they might be fat, but they're chuckling all the way. Not everybody, but we're also suffering from a lot of contamination within the foods and all this other stuff. And then you add medications as children and yada, yada, yada. So there is all sorts of different things that do play an effect on weight gain and all of this. But the body type is indicative. All right, so a round little button nose, right? A round face, round head. They got usually little fingers and a round palm, okay? And you notice, if you pay attention, you don't really see too many fat people with big noses, flared nostrils, and like that long, straight, pointed nose. You usually don't see too many fat people with those attributes. And either way, understand that this is not a bad thing. It's just that they seek comfort the most out of anything. And so, if you're trying to get somebody who seeks comfort to work hard and to do this and to do that, then, it's not really going to play out too well. You're going against their evolutionary inclination. At the same time, they are very good at delegating work, and they're rather jovial. So they're good to get along with. They're great for a laugh. They make great parents because they're always in a good mood. They're not too harsh, right? There are a lot of admirable traits. The overall roundness and softness of the features makes them attractive. They're very pretty in general, if you think about the characteristics. So, number 2 would be basically the builder, the muscle, right? Your muscle is the most adapt part of you. And these people are usually rather muscular. And then they're blocky. They're squared off. You see their feet, the standard Roman foot, the squared off toes, and then the squared off hands, the blocky palms. They have a squared jaw, right? So you think about people like this. They're usually workhorses. As long as you get along with them and you guys agree on the same things, they got your back. But they're not much for trifling, right? They're loyal, but they get angry. So they're easy to work up, right? They're completely satisfied with working a 10-hour day or doing whatever, having a beer, relaxing. These people are the ones that do a lot of heavy lifting in our society. But they're not necessarily the best with money. Even though they work so hard, they are, they get by. And they're fine with a simple existence. Much like the gastric, right? Because they only seek comfort. So as long as they have their comforts, they're good. Now, the muscular person, they can live a pretty happy life just working and doing their thing, provided that they find people who share similar ideals with them to be loyal to. And as long as they have plenty of work to do and they're able to do something physical and not stuck in an office or trying to do sales. Like, see, that's the whole point of this, is understanding where you fit into this and where other people fit into this. And then if you're doing something against it, you see how you're going to kind of have a fight going on internally. Trying to avoid that or trying to understand yourself better is the whole goal, as well as understanding other people. All right, next, you have the thoracic. These people have the triangle-shaped, broad shoulder, thin waist, right? They usually have flared nostrils, maybe a little bit bigger of a nose, right? They're usually real energetic, real in the moment. They take in more oxygen, right? They have the chest cavity designed for that. And so they are prone to be like, not necessarily actors and athletes and all of this stuff, but they will be participating in something along those lines, right? They want attention. They're usually clean dressed, right? They're wearing nice clothes. They change. They're real well groomed. They take a lot of care of themselves, usually, right? But they're very fleeting. They're in the moment. So like if you have a relationship with one of these people, it's going to be intense, and then gone, right? Just understand that. So if you are one of these individuals and this is how you feel, you do want attention. You do want to be well groomed. You are going everywhere. This makes sense. All right. And the gastric wears comfortable clothes. You're not going to see them wearing jeans and things like that unless they absolutely have to, right? They're like sweatpants and this. You get it. They seek comfort above all things. The working man will wear practical clothes, right? Probably the same type of clothes for the majority of their life, right? And then, the thoracic will be wearing the latest and greatest. Bam. You know, they care about brands. They have multiple shoes, you know, variety of colognes and things like that. And then you have it's basically like the bone, the knuckly people. You see their joints at their knees, on their hands, on their shoulders, right? Think about like the strict librarian. They're incredibly organized. They're real cheap, real prudent, right? And then, but they're not the most adventurous. They're usually real reserved, right? And they're real particular about things. So they're real smart with their money, so they save it, but they're not risky or daring, so they don't necessarily take a lot of risks with it, right? Now, this type of person will usually wear clothes for longer than they should, or they have things that are maybe just, I don't know. Think about the librarian. They'll look relatively formal, at least most of the time. But they'll be looking for deals and bargains, and they make really good like clerks, bankers, And so like these people don't want to be the center of attention. They don't want to have. They're kind of introverted. And yeah, there's a lot of distinctions between that. Like I said, the knuckles, they're usually skinny. They're usually, if not tall, but they seem lean tall. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. If you read the book, they actually have pictures of it. This is just food for thought, okay? Because most people are a variety of these individuals, right? You're not just one set. You have the caricature, right? So you somebody who meets every aspect of that is going to feel a stronger inclination towards it than somebody who is a variety, right? But we can get into variety in a moment. All right, the last is the cerebral, and you see this from their large heads, right? Especially in the frontal lobe region, you'll see protrusion almost. And these are the thinkers, the philosophers, the scientists, the people who seek knowledge above all else, right? They are, the Einstein type, where you chew on puzzles and you chew on problems and you seek to understand, right? They're noticeable because they're like almost your typical nerd, like usually they neglect their body, right? Focusing only on the mind. So they might be skinny, or at least not physically in shape. Almost alien-like, right? Not all of them, obviously, but you can see this quite distinctly in the size of the forehead and the enlarging of the frontal lobe, right? Because that is what is the primary focus of their build. And so now you understand at least a little bit of the different body types and the evolutionary inclinations there within. And so if you try and combat this, like if a cerebral tries doing manual labor for too long, or just a redundant manual labor without any type of exercise. See, like I do construction for a living, but I'm not a laborer. I'm a finished work. Like, there we go. And I'm able to audiobook and do whatever else while I'm working. So I can consume thousands of hours of information while I work at puzzle solving. Not ideal, but it serves functionality, right? I'm also kind of a mix of like a fat man cerebral, right? I have the inner fat child. I have the hands of a cerebral, as you can see the way that it's set. Usually very dexterous, right? The hands and the mind evolve together, right? Maybe that's another video for a different time, but we have been crafting and puzzling in unison with our hands for as long as we've been, right? If a whale has the same amount of intelligence as us, it goes to waste because they're not able to craft things. And if they were able to craft things, they live underwater, so would they be able to harness combustion? Would they be able to harness electricity? Probably not. I mean, there would be ways, but we're not getting into that. But yeah, there's all sorts of different types of mixes, different cross-betweens, and it's a really interesting book. If you're interested in these types of things, check it out. It's not very long, but how to analyze people on sight. It's really interesting. All right, we have more in common with each other than those that want us to fight.